so big that they'll haunt you, or they'll calm you. That's how you know if you gotta go and get to win and not conquer. I had to go out and get it without a sponsor. Kept it real, never crooked, yeah, that's honor. Now I can go out and get it how I want to. Hashtag bless, I choose.
What is up, Rumble? What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Ryan Matta Show. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday morning, folks. We had an amazing show over on LFATV today. If you guys missed the roundtable, if you're curious about the debate between gold and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin and fiat dollars, or Bitcoin and real estate, if you guys really want to dive down the rabbit hole, I had Rob Wallace, the co-founder of Bitcoin News, and Eric V. Satz, who's this, I would say, just huge up-and-comer in the Bitcoin space. His thoughts, his mind, the way he thinks, the way he articulates things, it was absolutely phenomenal. It's probably, out of all of the interviews that I've ever done, specifically in the crypto space, hands down my absolute favorite interview. These guys absolutely came on there and they delivered for the LFA community this morning. So if you guys had time, swing over there and check out that interview. It'll educate you and help orange pill you probably better than most shows that you'll watch. We talked about what happens when power goes out. What am I going to do with my Bitcoin if power goes out? We talked about the Federal Reserve, the printing of money, BlackRock buying up all the real estate, and why it's such a huge win for everybody. The fact that BlackRock is now buying billions of dollars worth of Bitcoin and not billions of dollars worth of single family homes. So the more that the Bitcoin gets adopted, we're going to start to see these corporations that were once buying all the things that you wanted, because that's in their best, that's what's best for them in their self-interest, right? They're always going to look out for themselves and number one first. So they were making all this capital. Well, where do you park that capital? And Gary Cardone's going to be on the show on Friday. So if you guys really want to go down this rabbit hole, we're going to dive deeper down it. We're going to have Gary Cardone over here as well. We're going to dive into all those things. So do us a huge favor. If you're just joining us, smash that like button. We got a lot of great people that are going to be joining us over here. I think this show is really going to turn into something special, and hopefully we can all win together. I want to jump over to Bitcoin News, where we're going to dive into our first article today. And this is what I titled the show today. So BitGo's chief warns Bitcoin investors are unprepared for a 600% surge. So Bitcoin enthusiast, I always have to zoom in on these. And Bitcoin.com is going to be getting a new revamp on their website. So I guess their new website's going to be rolling out next week. It'll be pretty excited during the next couple weeks. So Bitcoin enthusiasts have long anticipated the moment when isolation interest in the digital currency would surge, now potentially propelling it to new highs, according to BitGo chief Mike Beleish. That moment is now imminent, right? This is huge. And it could boost the demand for the digital asset, right? So Mike went on and said he's optimistic. In a recent interview, Mike criticized investors who established sharky resolves during the recent market conditions or recent market correction. He emphasized the significance of resilience in the face of volatility, stating that if you can't handle a 20% dip, you're definitely unprepared for a 600% surge. So Mike went on to say he's optimistic. His optimism stems from the increasing number of institutional allocating capital towards Bitcoin. He noted that the entry of a smaller hedge fund into the market, with larger hedge funds expected to follow suit. He added, "We have observed the entry of smaller hedge funds, with larger hedge funds set to follow suit. Now, pension funds are showing interest, and endowments are already actively participating." So all of the largest wealth managers around the world are seeing Bitcoin as the hardest money, the best place to allocate your wealth and put your wealth in to protect it from any market conditions. That's why this 21 million finite supply Bitcoin goes up forever, as Michael Saylor says it, because there's always going to be a constant demand. Anytime a business, a person, anybody around the world is producing wealth, meaning they are putting energy out into the world, they are using their energy to produce value, and that value somebody's willing to pay them more than what the energy was required for them to produce it, right? This is the free market. When you're producing wealth and you're generating wealth, you need a place to put that wealth. Real estate was a decent place. Gold, silver for a while was a decent place, right? But all of those things are corruptible. We've seen it from time to time to time. Bitcoin is the only self-sovereignty, purest form of energy, hardest asset that you can put your capital in today. And now we're seeing all of the smart people, all of the big money who are kind of on the sidelines now going, oh shit, BlackRock's buying. If BlackRock's buying, right, if your competition is doing something and something makes your competition's business so much better and you choose to not do it, you're going to go bankrupt. So if you are not parking your capital into Bitcoin, right, or let's just say you own a local hair salon. There's 2 hair salons next to each other. One accepts Bitcoin, one doesn't. How long do you think it is before the one that doesn't is put out of business by the one that does? Because in business, he who can spend the most to buy the customer wins that business every time. Meaning if we're selling the exact same product, we're both cutting hair, we're right side by side. All I have to do is put my business in front of more customers than you, put my product in front of more customers than you, and inherently 90-something% of people don't go to page 2 of Google. So if I'm always ahead of you, right? Or if I'm, making more money because I'm preserving the profits that I'm making, or I'm taking the profits that I'm making, I'm using those to generate more profits. Well, what can I do? I can now start offering discounts on those haircuts where you can't even afford to you have to actually raise your prices because you have to pay your employees and you got to pay your rent and everything that's going up and up and up. Well, when you save in Bitcoin, everything goes down, 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 down. So you're going to see this, I don't know what you want to call it, but like this just game theory where we're going to see every single company, every corporation, every single business around the world allocating to Bitcoin. And there's 21 million of this thing. And then if you count the amount that's been lost, there's probably only 14 to 17 million. And the lowest numbers I've seen was 14 million. But every time somebody dies with their private keys, like how many people, like if you passed away today, would your kids be able to get into your crypto wallet? Do they know where to go? Or is your wealth just going to disappear? How many people do you think have died, especially with the vax, right? And how many jab people are there out there that passed away that died with their Bitcoin wallet keys? I bet you there's less than 14 million. When you just think about the amount of people that got stimulus checks, if everybody put a stimulus check out there and 25% of people who got the stimmy checks got the jab, well, shit, that's a lot of dead people out there. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people probably died with their Bitcoin keys. So just wild, right? Damn, I need to get another cup of coffee. Let me throw a clip on really quick. Well, let's finish this article. So with the ETFs now accessible, it will take some time for investment commitments to deliberate, or committees to deliberate. However, the momentum seems to be building up now, and it's expected to continue through the summer. If history repeats itself, we might see Bitcoin reach 80K by May. I think we hit 80K next week. I'm always the most bullish person on Bitcoin. We're going to 100K tomorrow. Pack your bags, sell your house, pawn your wife's wedding ring, pawn your wife's wedding ring, pawn the kids' Legos, take your golf clubs, throw them, put them out for a garage sale. That's what you should do. You should sell everything in your garage that's not nailed down, every tool, everything, and put all of that energy that you put out into the world back into Bitcoin, into an asset that's going to 10x over the next 10 years. So major entities like LPL Financial Holdings have taken months to conduct thorough due diligence on Bitcoin ETFs, emphasizing the importance of observing their performance in the market. The risk involved were underscored, particularly given the closure of over 250 ETFs, including some that involved or held digital assets in 2023. You had their shit coins, as you call them. Now, Belish shed light on the lengthy approval process required for firms to engage with Bitcoin ETFs through investment commitments or committees. However, he suggested that most firms would have completed their procedures by the summer. This time aligns with expectations for the rise in institutional demand for Bitcoin ETFs, potentially leading to increased capital inflows into the Bitcoin market. Now, Bitcoin predictions, he said, following the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the increased interest shown by institutional investors, multiple multimillionaires have been putting heavy price tags on Bitcoin for the short and long term. Now, recently renowned author and financial guru Robert Kiyosaki confirmed or reaffirmed his beliefs that the leading digital asset could surge to $300,000 per coin by the end of 2024. Now, that's the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but keep in mind, well, we'll read that tweet in a little bit. He said some stuff that makes you think that this man doesn't fully understand Bitcoin, but that's the best part about it. You don't have to fully understand it. As long as you're allocating it to it, you can know nothing about it. As long as you know how to self-custody it and store this in a way that no government can take it away from you, you're golden. You guys don't have anything to worry about. Now, Market Creek Capital Management CEO of Mark Yucko also sees BTC price at $150,000 post upcoming Bitcoin halving and stated that the digital asset's current fair value is $75,000. Now, further, billionaire investor Tim Draper, right, who bought all that Ethereum back in the day that our government seized, raised his targets to $250,000 for Bitcoin by 2025, while investors and the CEO of ARK Investment, Kathy Woods, has predicted Bitcoin could reach a staggering 1.5 million per coin by 2030. 1.5 million. This asset is going to engulf everything that gets in its path, folks. You can either be on the I'm broke as hell side of history, or you can be on the I'm fighting for freedom and I'm joining the freedom revolution, because this is the most peaceful revolution that there will ever be in world history. Ever. Now, if we swing over to our next website, which is Cointelegraph, to pick up our next article by Amaka, if I'm saying that right. She says, massive Bitcoin consolidation sparks sell-side liquidity concerns. Now, an unidentified individual whose entirety or entry who received 2,000 Bitcoin in mining rewards in 2010 has consolidated them into a single wallet. Crypto Quant founder and CEO Kim Young-ju, Ju, believes that the moment in consolidation of 2,000 BTC by an unidentified individual or entity into a single wallet indicates a sell-side liquidity crisis coming up with old Bitcoin. Now, Young pointed out that their pattern of these transactions suggests that the coins were sold OTC, which is over the counter, which means sell-side liquidity crisis refers to a situation with a shortage of available assets in the market, leading to a difficulty for sellers to find buyers or executing trades at a desired price. That can result in increased price volatility and price fluctuation. And if I show this over here on the screen, you guys can see this tweet that they put out. So somebody just consolidated 2,000 BTC from a bunch of COINBASE rewards dating back to 2010. 2010. That's huge, right? Imagine holding for 14 years, and as the value rockets from a few $100 turns into $140 million. $140 million. That's pretty epic, folks. An unidentified individuals who received 2,000 Bitcoin in mining rewards in 2010 consolidated them into a single wallet. What else do they say? Bitcoin miners are compensated for verifying blocks in the Bitcoin network. Initially, each yield was 50 Bitcoin. However, every 4 years, we got the halving. That's what we got coming up. If you guys are new to Bitcoin, those rewards that are paid out to miners gets cut in half and half and half every 4 years. Basically, we'll continue to get cut in half and cut in half, because you're always cutting half, right, of the current reward. So, we're at 6.52 right now. We're going to go to 1.333333. The next one, and next one, and next one. You're always cutting in half. So really, like, Bitcoin mining rewards are going to be, paid out for the next 100-something years. But even at that point, I think it's in the next couple of years, we're going to have like 99% of all Bitcoin will be mined, which is huge. So the forthcoming Bitcoin halving will decrease block rewards from 3.25 to 3.12, and it's anticipated that this will happen around April 21st, but that date may change. So the date on when the halving happens is based off the specific block number. So the algorithm automatically decreases those rewards at the time of halving. So we have this new halving coming up here, and it just depends. I mean, Bitmain could put out brand new mining equipment today, and all of a sudden it could increase the network activity, and they could be mining all this extra Bitcoin, and then maybe we get there a little bit sooner, right? Or maybe we get there a little bit later because they raise difficulty and it takes people longer to mine blocks. It's all just hit or miss, but that'll be a ballpark. Now, the Bitcoin rewards were valued at 600 when this unknown entity mined these blocks. Now they are nearly $140 million. So when he mined that block and had all those Bitcoin at the time, they were only worth $600. Now, this is according to Cointelegraph's price index page. So imagine holding for 14 years as the value skyrockets from a few $100s to $140 million. What a G. That's why you never sell your Bitcoin, folks. Because what this man is experiencing here today will be very similar to what you're experiencing. We are on the precipice of like Bitcoin going absolutely parabolic. We're talking about 10x, 20x, gosh only knows. I mean, we've never seen an asset class like this ever in existence. It is purely hard money, uncorruptible money. It's the only thing that man has ever created that has been incorruptible, because it revolves around no men. There is no counterparty. There is no trust involved. It is you. You can just trust the code. It's out there. So during the weekend was another significant Bitcoin transfer. The fifth wealthiest Bitcoin address moved $6 billion worth of Bitcoin to 3 different addresses. According to data from blockchain analysis from Arkham, the address was funded with 94,500 Bitcoin in 2019. This Bitcoin sat unmoved till the weekend, where it split up and was sent to 3 addresses. Now just having $1.4 billion worth of Bitcoin remaining, or now just remaining 1.4 Bitcoin remaining at 99,000 in that address. Now, in January, an individual transferred 26.9 Bitcoin valued at 1.2 million. Then, from what appeared to be from Binance to the Bitcoin network's Genesis wallet, where retrieval is impossible. Oh, wow. So an individual transferred 29 Bitcoin to the Genesis wallet. Now, the Genesis wallet was the first ever wallet on the Bitcoin network set up by Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonym creator of Bitcoin. So they just sent Bitcoin to that wallet, which means it'll never come back. That's pretty cool. Like, this is where people get to benefit the network. And Michael Saylor talked about this. We played it in our video yesterday. For the first time, you want to be a philanthropist, you want to benefit the world, you could never do that in a fiat world. Because even if you buried your gold with you, it's not going to affect the price of gold. Now imagine if somebody like Michael Saylor just dies with all of his Bitcoin, takes 1% of every Bitcoin that's ever been mined, and he completely removes it from existence forever. Like, that is such a gift to society. You've now made the value of everybody else's Bitcoin more valuable. You just increased the wealth of every single human on the planet that uses Bitcoin. That's a pretty big gift to give to the world. We're talking about some of these billionaires have billions and billions of dollars. Like, to think about that is just like it blows your absolute mind. So we're pretty much wrapping up this article over here. And again, guys, this is over a lot of this stuff. That was on Cointelegraph. But if you guys aren't following bitcoinnews.com, this is definitely your spot. Rob and Luke, the gentlemen that are running this, they're absolutely phenomenal. They got a ton of great authors. They put out new content every morning before 9 a.m. So you guys can swing over here and watch the show. I'm normally going to be covering articles if we don't have interviews, but this is going to be your go-to spot for all things Bitcoin news. Now, I want to get into this next clip over here by Robin. Robin was on our show. We did a great interview. If you guys want to check out Robin's work, he goes by @Robin SEYR over on X, and he says real estate will crash and all the monetary premiums will flow into Bitcoin.
Hi, I love what you're doing in your stock. In fact, I've made 5 times more on your stock and derivatives around it than buying Bitcoin. So one of my questions would be, why should we buy Bitcoin? Why don't we just buy your stock? And what do you think the halving event is really going to do to the price?
Bitcoin's a commodity. It's an asset without an issuer. Whenever you invest in a company, you're taking counterparty risk. In order to invest in my stock, you should reasonably read 1,000 pages of disclosures. And I'll make the obvious point. People in Nigeria can't self-custody MicroStrategy stock. So what we're trying to solve the problem of creating integrity, sovereignty, truth and hope for the world. That's going to be done via protocol, right? MicroStrategy is simply a high performance business, right? There's a lot of other businesses, and every business does their thing in the world as best they can. So we offer a very particular thing to us. We offer convertible debt to convertible arbitrageurs, and they have billions of dollars of capital, and they can only convertible arbitrage. So if we didn't give it to them, their capital wouldn't come in the ecosystem. And so that 1.4 billion that I got came from them, that went into Bitcoin. I need to do something for them. It's a complicated something. There's a lot of volatility to it, right? There's a limit to how much we can do.
Can we just buy your stock then?
The truth is, I would recommend to anybody that's interested in Bitcoin, they should study Bitcoin before they buy anything. And then after they study Bitcoin for 100 hours, I would say you ought to buy the Bitcoin. The real debate ought to be, do you buy the Bitcoin in self-custody, buy the Bitcoin institutional custody, buy the Bitcoin through an ETF? Because
what about the halving?
Bitcoin is the innovation, right? Bitcoin is the innovation. If you are a professional investor and you have billions of dollars of capital, by the way, the investors in my company aren't allowed to buy Bitcoin, nor are they allowed to buy the ETF. Their charter is, here's $10 billion, you have to invest in publicly traded operating companies. So my company is meeting a need for certain types of investors that are sophisticated. I'm not here to promote my company, right? I expect Bitcoin will be here 1,000 years from now. My company won't be, I won't be, right? There's not much to be said there.
I want you guys to pay attention to what was just said there, right? His company won't be around. Nobody's company will be around. Now, I actually played the wrong clip there. That one was actually the clip from Love is Bitcoin. So if you're not following Love is Bitcoin, she tweeted it out. She says, I've made 5 times more with MicroStrategy than buying Bitcoin. Should we just buy Bitcoin, right? And you got to see his response. So actually, Robin actually tweeted out this other one where he said, real estate will crash and the monetary premium will flow into Bitcoin. Check this one out. This is by Gary Cardone. He's going to be on the show next week or this weekend on Friday.
Hey, Greg, I'm really excited about this announcement we're getting ready to make tomorrow on our expansion, on the media thing. I think, hiring like 2 or 3 more people, we might need to look at, renting an office space downtown. Yeah. I know you had some ideas about like doing a deal with some people that do that kind of stuff. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, we could rent, but there's opportunity downtown right now to buy. I think buying would be we could buy a spot and we could build out studios. Yeah.
Why the fuck would we buy a spot, dude? Look, Greg. We buy Bitcoin. We rent locations. Like when are we gonna get this, bro? We buy Bitcoin. We go rent a location from somebody that makes a nice little 4 or 5 or 6% yield on us. Okay.
Yeah.
We can get in and out of that location anytime we want. And we produce more activities. We generate some fiat. We take the fiat, remove it from the bank, and we deploy it into Bitcoin. We buy Bitcoin. We rent everything else, bro.
All right, I guess I'll look for a place to rent.
That's my man, dude. This is going to be awesome.
So we jump over here to the live chat. Bilbo Bot just joined us. Kimmy B, good to see you guys. I know we got a lot of people over on YouTube as well. If you guys want to come over and join us, it's much more fun over on this free speech capital of the internet. So swing on over here. Who do we got in here? We got Fafa in the house. Captain America, good to see you. Polar Bear Man, good to see you. Aussie, good to see you. We got a whole packed house in here. Good to see you. Augustin, welcome back, man. Kadena's doing great, man. Last I heard, I'm more of a Bitcoin maxi this cycle right now. I got a lot of Kadena as well. But I'm over here helping educate people about the freedom revolution and the greatest technology that's ever been created and the greatest gift that you can give your parents. So on the morning shows, we're strictly Bitcoin. On the night shows, we dive into all things. We do a Kadena roundtable on Thursday nights. So if you guys want to learn more about a smart contract company that's revolutionized the industry, come over and join us there as well. I want to show you guys. So Axel from Financial Physics is going to be on the show tonight. He puts out amazing work. I don't think we're going to hear him speak in this video, but you guys are definitely going to want to come and talk about what's going on tonight. We're going to talk about the debate between gold and power outages and what's being done in the debasement of our currency and the demoralization of America. It's going to be a really, really good show. You guys aren't going to want to miss it. So come over and hit that subscribe button because tonight's going to be a great show. And he says, he tweets out, he goes by @FinancialPhysX or PHYS over on X. He says, this is so destructive to the young people. Participation degrees are demoralizing. Check this out.
Can anyone explain to me how I have 2 degrees? I have 2 degrees. Oh, and a certificate. A little extra, right? I have a certificate. May not be a master's, but it's something extra along with the 2 degrees, I'm trying to apply for jobs right now, and the thing is that the only person I have responding to me is a man from a tech company saying, hey, you want to answer some customer service problems? You want to answer some customer service calls? No, Bart, I don't want to answer your calls. No offense, but I'm a little more qualified than to just to be sitting around answering your customer service calls. Bart, okay? I'm sorry, but Bart is the only one who's responding to me. So what am I supposed to do? And I'm looking down at these and I'm looking at them and I'm kind of wondering. I'm like, what was this for again? Oh, I don't know. Beats me.
Yep. Welcome to America, folks, where you've been so indoctrinated and brainwashed into buying and investing in products that these people are selling you. Think about that. Like you went to school and gave these people $40,000 to teach you what? What? I got a college degree. I was literally sitting in the college parking lot, filling out an application one day and thinking about like, dude, I just went to school to build my resume. It's like wiping your ass before you poop. Like I was sitting out there and I go, and it was like, where did you go to school at? Where'd you get your degree at? And I was like, oh, like Lansing Community College. And I was like, Lansing Community. And I was like, shit, college. Is that EG or AG? I was like, fucking A. I go, I can't even spell the fucking word college. And I just got a college degree. What does that fucking tell you? Like, that's scary shit, right? If my work didn't pay for a majority of it, right, that would have been like $20,000 or $30,000 I was in debt to get a degree for a job that I already had, or in hopes that a future job might want to hire me because I have this piece of paper. Which then you started realizing, wow, I could buy these. I can literally buy an online degree from any university and give myself any title or any degree I want for $400. Some of these companies out there even have phone lines where, like, once you buy in, like, they got a call center. Hello. Yes, Ryan attended online university. He was a great student. 4.0, excellent student. Right? A couple $100, you get a degree. A legit one, too. I mean, I remember the CEO of our company bought himself a doctorate degree. The guy's as dumb as a sack of rocks, but yet they call him doctor. He's got some weird name in Thailand. It's like 24 last names combined. It's like a privilege. So he's like, this guy's like friends with like basically the king and queen of Thailand. And they gave him this special surname or whatever. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that one, but it's fucking wild times we're living in, man. We've been trapped in this slavery mindset, this debt-based rat race cycle that you just can't get out of. But literally the entire world's waking up and they're seeing the writing on the walls. Like, if you're not doing everything you can to acquire more Bitcoin, like if you're not pissing everybody off around you because that's all you fucking talk about and they think you're fucking crazy, you're not stacking hard enough. Check this one out, right? Walker tweets out, he goes by @WalkerAmerica. Maybe we'll get lucky and get this gentleman on the show one day. I'd absolutely love to have him on. He says, if you're new here, just start stacking your heart out. Get as much Bitcoin as you fucking can. He said, this is the new runaway freight train and you're not going to be able to catch it. You are not stacking hard enough if
you're listening right now, go ugly fucking early, man. If you're new here, just start stacking your heart out. Like, get as much Bitcoin as you fucking can. This thing is a runaway freight train, and you're not going to be able to catch it. Like, I bet it's true for me. I bet it's true for Walker that, like, when we first got here, I should have gone so much harder. And I did go hard, but I didn't go as hard as I fucking should have. I should have gone 10 times harder. Become a crazy person. If people in your life are not showing you active disdain, you're not stacking hard enough. If you're still invited to family Thanksgiving, you're not stacking hard enough. If people are not making fun of you for brown bagging your lunch, you're not stacking hard enough. If your car is younger than Bitcoin, you're not stacking hard enough. Okay? If you don't have a second job, you're not stacking hard enough. If you're just not stacking hard enough. If nobody has called you a retard, you're not stacking hard enough.
Are you stacking hard enough, folks? Are you stacking hard enough? Are you? How much Bitcoin have you guys bought in the last month? Is anybody's first time buying Bitcoin here in the live chat in the first month? Yeah, Shredded Gaming says they are just pumping through students to make money. Their degrees are crap and people should not pass to get through. I agree. Max Julia says real life scam degrees. I couldn't agree more. Max Julia. Am I saying that right? Yeah, Max Julia. I like that name. She goes by RJUV. I like it. Dumpster fire in the house. So I'm not stacking enough. Me neither, man. I bought about 15,000 in the last couple weeks. And it's crazy. I remember seeing it down at 15,000 or 16,000 or whatever it was. And just like, I can't not buy this, right? Like, even if it goes 50% off here, I can't not buy this. Like, everything on the charts was telling us the RSI was bottomed out. Everything was saying we were at bottom outside of just that gut feeling where you're normally like, yeah, you know, it's going lower. It's going lower. Well, I mean, if you just think about all the times you thought about buying Bitcoin and you didn't and price ran up, and then all the times you thought about buying Bitcoin and you did and price went down, and you're wrong. You know, I think sometimes if I just did the exact opposite of what I thought I should do and did the exact opposite, I would be 100 times better off in crypto trading anyways. But now I just have to worry about stacking this beautiful asset called Bitcoin. And like Rob and Rob and Eric said this morning, right? It's the Trojan horse of freedom. Gonza, good to see you, man. Great. I'm doing great, my friend. So it's the Trojan horse of freedom, right? Which means that any given point in time, like the horse is in the castle, folks, right? We've introduced something in a sly roundabout way that they can't stop. And now it just goes, how do we get every single person in America and every country to adopt this standard? And you look at your other options and you're like, wow, everything is flawed. When you're holding anything but Bitcoin, you're short Bitcoin, long whatever. Which is crazy to think about. You hold gold, you're literally short Bitcoin. You're holding gold, which is an asset that we now have gold. I reported on this morning as well. We have gold miners and these companies that store their wealth in an asset, in a commodity. And now that commodity is now buying Bitcoin, which means that they obviously have zero conviction over the asset that they're extracting out of the ground. If these gold investment firms are taking your money that you paid for them, or they profited by selling you that gold, instead of buying gold, which they're trying to convince you to fucking buy, they're going and buying Bitcoin. Now that should be a big wake-up call for everybody out here, right? Like, I should take this. Does anybody got any, I probably can't see that online. Well, anybody wants gold or silver? Give me a ringle. Give me a jingle. It's time to dump that shit coin and stack more sats. I got $10,000 worth of gold and silver. It's time to get out of that dumpster fire and just stop worrying about it and just buy more sats. Actually, anybody want to sell a vehicle? I'll buy it off you for 10 grand cash. I'm looking to buy a truck. I got cash and Bitcoin. Well, I'm not going to give you my Bitcoin, but I got a stable coins. I can get some stable coins for you. Anybody wants to buy a truck and wants to sell it for around 20 grand, 10K in gold and silver, 10K in Bitcoin, reach out to me via Twitter and DMs. I'm looking for a truck, SUV. I prefer something that's older. Like, I'm really trying to get my hands on just an old Hummer, right? I want the exact same Hummer I had 2007 with really low miles, but they're really hard to find. So if anybody's got an old truck, I don't trust these no electronic bullshit. I want something older, truck, really low miles, or an SUV, really low miles. So something under like 40,000, 50,000. If you guys are sitting on something, you guys want to part with it, and you want to embark on Bitcoin or gold, hit me up. We'll make it happen. I want to jump into this next article really quick here as well. Over at bitcoinnews.com, one of my favorite places for Bitcoin and educational content over here in the morning. What are we looking at here? So the next Bitcoin halving, what does this mean for Bitcoiners, right? So is the ultimate test for the Bitfinex report. So Bitcoin mining scene is changing, impacting corporate independent dynamics amidst the next Bitcoin halving and regulatory shift. The landscape of Bitcoin mining is undergoing a profound transformation driven by the influx of institutional capital and the rise of publicly traded mining companies. As the trades brace for the next Bitcoin halving and potentially regulatory changes, the dynamic between corporate giants and independent miners are coming into sharp focus. The next Bitcoin halving, the shift's incentive structure. So for Bitfinex, highest low how Wall Street funding has fundamentally altered the incentive and structure behind Bitcoin mining. Now, corporate entities driven by shareholder returns operate on a vastly different scale compared to small miners. The shift towards profitability over community ideals prospers, which challenges the decentralized vision of Bitcoin. Basically, too many miners in one location controlled by one corporation, where you have all this hash power being controlled by a small group of people. Now, smaller independent miners face an existential threat as corporate miners consolidate power, which means the little guy out there mining Bitcoin, it's harder and harder for him to become more and more profitable when you have these ginormous corporations buying up multiple mining farms, right? So when one can't sustain, it can be acquired by another that can invest the capital and keep it up and running. So you're seeing some of these smaller miners basically getting put out of business because these large corporations are out there, which is dangerous when you have too much of that hash power controlled by a single entity. Now, they lack the capital to negotiate favorable energy deals or invest in cutting-edge hardware. Now, Bitfinex analysis emphasizes the need for innovation and collaboration among independent miners to remain viable in the evolving landscape. Now, something I think would be really cool is if somehow they made it so you couldn't pool mine Bitcoin and everybody had to independently mine it. Now, I don't know if that's possible or there's a way to put a cap on the amount of something like that. Probably not, because it's just a free market, but I'm not too worried about it. Sailor's not worried about it. These other people that are way smarter than me aren't too worried about it. So now, for independent miners to remain viable, they need to innovate and possibly collaborate. Mining pools, for instance, offer a way for smaller players to combine their computational power and mine and get their share of the distributed rewards. Now, Bitfinex suggests that the current situation in the mining industry could lead to larger publicly traded mining firms gaining dominance. Now, these firms, equipped with substantial capital reserves and resources, are better positioned to navigate regulatory challenges, potentially overshadowing smaller players in the market. Now, this is where we get back to these unelected government bureaucrat hacks who are trying to absolutely destroy innovation in America. Bilbo Boss's Ronnie McDummy sees she's been left with no choice but to start an OnlyFans page since no one else will give her work for now. Oh, that's too funny. Did they fire her from CNN or MSNBC or DNC, whatever you want to call them? Now, the role of corporate miners, publicly traded mining companies have emerged as titans in the industry, mining thousands of Bitcoin annually and showcasing the profitability potential for large-scale operations. Now, these companies leverage strategic partnerships with energy producers and invest in sustainable mining practices, further solidifying their position in the market. Now, this is where I think, too, we have nation states like El Salvador. So we at least have one good person in the fight where, let's say, it looks like BlackRock's acquiring way too much mining power. So then everybody in the Bitcoin community, especially these OG people, go, wow, we need to do anything we can to incentivize to get more of these miners like that we control into El Salvador. So maybe the community comes together and they start, chipping in and putting resources towards, accelerating the infrastructure around what El Salvador can do from a Bitcoin mining aspect. Now, here's the battle of the miners. The debauchery between corporate giants and independent miners encapsulates the complex narrative of the mining industry. With large-scale miner processes significant advantages in terms of resources and bargaining power, independent miners rely on innovation and collaborations to survive. Now, geographical diversification and sustainable practices are key strategies for both independent and corporate miners. An excellent example from Bitfinex report cards. So the corporate entities, with their focus squarely on shareholder returns, operate on a vastly different scale with a distinct properties compared to the smaller corporations. Now, looking ahead, the further of Bitcoin mining hinges on the ability of miners to adapt to changing market conditions and regulatory landscapes. While challenges abound, the spirit of decentralization encourages resilience and innovation within the mining community. The ongoing evolution of mining technology and strategies partnerships will play a crucial role in shaping the future of the industry. And I couldn't agree more. Now, the conclusion is, as Bitcoin mining industry continues to evolve, the battle between corporate giants and independent miners intensifies, while corporate miners dominate the market with their resources and scale, and the independent miners rely on innovation and collaborations to stay competitive. Now, the upcoming halving and regulatory uncertainties further underscore the need for miners to adapt and innovate in this rapidly changing landscape. And I couldn't agree more with everything. That's a lot to take in. Let me grab a breath real quick. Let me let you in on our first sponsor today, folks. If you guys are buying Bitcoin, there's no better place to do that if you guys are outside the United States than Bybit. Let me let you in on our first sponsor and grab a breath real quick.
Today's sponsor is Bybit. Bybit is your one-stop shop for crypto trading, crypto investing, buying, learning. I've also built a step-by-step digital course which teaches you everything you need to know about buying crypto on Bybit, and not just buying crypto on Bybit, but trading strategies, setting up crypto trading bots. Bitcoin is the best way to fight against tyranny, to fight against government corruption, to fight back against the Federal Reserve printing trillions of dollars and depreciating everything that your family has worked for your entire life. So get yourself some Bitcoin. You should at least allocate a small percentage of it to your portfolio. Be a smart investor. Don't let the government take everything from you. Again, my name is Ryan Matta. Links to my affiliate codes are down in the description. Show this channel some love and go buy yourself some Bitcoin.
And if you guys are in the USA, folks, I made a step-by-step tutorial which will walk you through how to buy your first as little as $20 worth of Bitcoin. So if you're in the USA, Coinbase seems to be the go-to place right now for everybody to, get on board and buy themselves some Bitcoin. You guys just swing down there in the description. You guys will find that link to my Bybit affiliate, and there's no better way to support us over here. I don't recommend trading. I recommend that you buy that Bitcoin, get it off exchange, put it in a cold storage wallet, which you self-custody. And hopefully we're going to have some people coming on the show this week to teach us a lot about self-custody. My man Ben was coming on today. Actually, he was supposed to be here this morning, but his schedule changed last minute and he had to take off last minute, so he's not going to be able to make it today. That's why we're kind of put this show together last minute. But yeah, folks, I mean, people all around America, right? And people are like, oh, I'm not paying taxes, which I agree, right? This government has been so tyrannical. You no longer have the ability to pursue life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They've corrupted every government organization. Every three-letter government agency is rotted to the core. And people are fed up. And this is what we're all doing together, or at least everybody is, at the very least, planning to take a penalty and saying, I know a lot of people out there have been saying that, I'm just going to, file for an extension. I'm not going to pay. I'm going to put my taxes down to, they're claiming 10 for my independence. I work a 9 to 5. And they're saying they're going to push it off until 2024. In 2024, if Trump gets back in office and we restore sanity and these politicians stop looting the treasury, sure, I'll pay my taxes. But at this point, our government is out there. It looks like trying to kill you, literally trying to kill you and end your bloodline. So Financial Physics says more and more of us every day, spread this around. You got it, buddy.
I don't know about all of you, but I'm not filing my fucking taxes this year. I'm done paying taxes. They can suck my fucking dick. After getting the letter in the mail from the IRS, before I've even bothered to try to file, they're trying to tell me I owe them $4,000, some sort of LT38 notice. They can suck my fucking dick. I think we're all pretty much at the same juncture now, where we have the same agreement. We ain't paying taxes. It's funny that I have to fight so hard to get a good credit score, yet all these motherfucking politicians have spent all of our social security and every last fucking dime that we had. That's why we're in $30 trillion in debt. These motherfuckers have the audacity to suggest that any of us owe them money. How about this? How about we audit every single one of these politicians' fucking portfolios? Where'd you get all that money? Hey, Nancy Pelosi, how's that insider trading going? I say that we take all these motherfuckers' money. We can redistribute that. I work on Fort Moore and I see the shitty fucking housing that they give these soldiers. Man, I'm sick of this fucking place. I'm sick of this shit. You know what? We need another January 6th, and I don't care how you feel about that. Fuck these politicians. It's time that somebody, just like all the Democrats way back in, what was it, 2020, 2021, they're saying, get out in the streets and get in their face. Get in their fucking face.
Yep, folks. That's how a vast majority of Americans are feeling. We've been lied to, we've been scammed, we've been ripped off. We see people like Nancy Pelosi getting filthy rich. Now, I seen this tweet come out yesterday. I don't know if I still have it here on my PC. But I'd like somebody to look into this and confirm it. We got quite a few people over here in the live chat. Maybe you guys can dig into it. Where was the tweet about her? Give me 1 second. Let me zoom in on these. And I want to find this. I want to show you this trade, which I tried to pull up last night, but it was a little bit too late in the show. So you can see exactly how filthy rich these politicians are getting while we are getting raked over the coals. Oh, man, it was like Nalim stock last night. She traded. Gosh, where the hell did that go? Nancy Pelosi made some ungodly trade, is up 10,000%, and she bought in the first week. Let me pull it up on my phone. I'll just airdrop it over again. Yeah, there it is. I got it right here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to airdrop this over. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys are just joining us, smash that like button. Let everybody know that we're live. It'll help push this channel out. I know this channel's been all over the place with a ton of different content. We had a great crypto-only channel going. And then, of course, right, that was deplatformed for some reason because it was violent or dangerous or some other bullcrap lie that they made up just so they could deplatform us over here. They don't want you to get out of the rat race, folks. These people want you trapped in it, being a slave for the rest of your life. Forever. So Mitch tweets, I says, breaking, Nancy Pelosi is now up 10,527% on her money sign NILA calls that she purchased on 3/12. So what are the odds of that? Nancy purchases some calls on 3/12 with a strike price of 14 cents. It looked like yesterday this thing was at 26 cents. Right? Which is frickin' sane. That's 10,527%. Now, can anybody confirm that if that's true? I would love to know what you guys think over here. Because I don't know about you, but I'm working 2 jobs. I'm doing everything humanly possible. I went to school, got a good job, got a degree, put money into my 401k, save, they told me. Right? I went from making, over the course of, how many years was that? Like 4 years? To basically being like, it was my son was born, so 2013. I was basically making $10 an hour. By the time he was 6, I was making 30. I mean, now granted, I invested quite a bit in my business, right? But like my standards of living never got better. I was doing $125,000 a month on Amazon in sales. $1.2 million a year in sales. and still was working full time, running a business that was doing insane amounts of sales. Right? Business was generating me about 50% profit, but I was investing all that into new products and going into new warehouses. And like every time when you're selling on Amazon, you have the ability to get into a new country. You need to stock your entire inventory of all your products. You know, if you're selling, you know, $125,000 a month in America, you're probably going to sell 10 or 15,000 a month in Canada. And then same with Australia. And then I was going to Europe, right? Like, oh, no way. Picarda says, Nyla crashed today. Of course he did. Nancy Pelosi took her freaking profits. It's insane. Like, you guys see, like, you're working so hard. You're doing everything right. And people look at Warren Buffett. Oh, you can't time the market. You know, your 10 worst days are the best days in the market. You know, so if you weren't in the market for 10 days in 2006, you would have missed out on 80% of the gains. Okay. Well, if you weren't in Bitcoin in 2009, you missed out on 80% of the gains. If you weren't in Bitcoin in 2010, you missed out on 80% of the gains. If you weren't in 2012, 80% of the gains. 16, 80% of the gains, right? Every single 4 years, 80% of the gains, right? Mr. Fraud says, what about Cadena? Cadena is a crypto company, right? Completely different than what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is freedom. It is the hardest asset known to man. It is the most decentralized and only decentralized cryptocurrency. Without Bitcoin, nothing else matters. Do you guys want to learn more about Cadena? Come join us on Thursday nights. We do a Cadena roundtable on Thursday nights. Got a ton of people out there from the teams, from developers that are all coming on to teach us about their company. And yeah, I think Cadena is going to be huge. I'm actually going to be trying to build something on top of Cadena that becomes a layer 2 for Bitcoin, whether that's a streaming service, whether that's just a company of my own, where I'm going to show that you can build onto Cadena and make Cadena a layer 2 for Bitcoin, which I think is going to be really, really freaking cool. I hold the giant bag of Cadena. It's actually Cadena and Flux are the only other cryptos that I hold, but I'm not buying any more of those. I have plenty of them. And as price goes up, right, I will be consolidating those into Bitcoin at some point. I might hold on to a little bit, just like I love interacting with the ecosystem. I think it's the future, and I think it's going to be, you know, making generational wealth for years to come. I think all smart contract languages or blockchains will eventually convert. And Cadena is the only blockchain that could support something like, you know, tokenizing every asset on the stock exchange and putting that onto a blockchain. They're the only one. And, but it's still a company. It's still major counterparty risk, which is the exact opposite. And Bitcoin represents freedom. And it's so important for everybody to understand that. And even like, you're looking for like the next 10x gem, right? Like how many people would have been ecstatic if they could have just made 10x last bull run, right? Well, you have an asset like Bitcoin that is going to 10x this bull run. It is going to be like unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And no matter how hard they try, they can't suppress it. Like even with these ETFs and all these inflows, eventually it just gets to a point where people go, wait, you don't have all that Bitcoin on your exchange. If you do, majority of it's controlled by the ETFs and they're not selling it. So, I mean, we're watching supply levels on Bitcoin get to a low that we haven't seen in 9 years. And every day, more and more Bitcoin is leaving these exchanges. Now we're going to talk about these ETFs. I got Thomas coming on the show I think tomorrow night. Thomas will be here, or tomorrow morning. I forget which one, but Thomas tweets out his update 325. BTC price 71,000. Bitcoin ETF net inflows 0.4 BTC. ETF 9 ETFs, new 9 ETFs plus 5.2K BTC. Total Bitcoin held in ETFs is now totaling 822,000 Bitcoin. Fidelity 3.7K, Grayscale 4.9K, BlackRock 0.5. Here's my summary on the market. Check this out.
G'day guys, just thought I'd do something a little bit differently, and that's give you a video rundown of the Bitcoin ETFs for Monday's ETF flows. So it was a good day for Bitcoin in general. Its price jumped about 5% to over 70K. And it was a good day for Bitcoin ETFs as well because we had our first inflows in over a week. Net inflows were about 400 Bitcoin, but that doesn't really tell you the story because under the surface, we saw Fidelity with a huge day, taking in 3,700 Bitcoin, and BlackRock had a relatively quiet day, taking in 500 Bitcoin. We also saw Invesco and Franklin Templeton have a nice day, taking in a couple hundred Bitcoin each. But of course, the big outflows were coming from GBTC, where they had 4,900 Bitcoin flowing out of Grayscale. Now, the GBTC outflows are taking up the mind share of most of us looking at this stuff, but I'm starting to think it's kind of a distraction from the whole story because when you look at the market and you think about it, last week they had 30,000 Bitcoin outflows, And this surpassed the 18,000 coming into the new ETFs. And yet, despite this, the market was flat. And I think what's happening here is a lot of this Bitcoin is being recycled. It's flowing out of GBTC and into other Bitcoin vehicles. Clearly, it could be the other spot ETFs, but it also could just be buying Bitcoin in general. And then I think the other thing that we're seeing on the margins is people selling GBTC and it flowing into MicroStrategy. And that's a bit speculative on my part, but the reason why I think we're seeing that is just because of these huge inflows going into MicroStrategy. At the same time, we're seeing the flows coming out of GBTC, and we know that these are all Bitcoin investors. So for this reason, I would say GBTC isn't really selling Bitcoin per se. It's frankly just creating a lot of noise when we're trying to delve into the actual signal and what's happening. The thing that I'm really focused on mainly is looking at net ETF flows. This in itself is not going to be perfect either, but it gives us a good indication about the kind of demand for Bitcoin ETFs. And we do know that they're sitting at about 204,000 Bitcoin so far since the ETFs were launched. Which is about 15 billion in sort of new Bitcoin assets under management, or probably about 12 billion in actual inflows. And then of course you've had the price rise. I don't see a path where this can grow significantly without an equivalent rise in the Bitcoin price. And I do think we're going to see both happening this year and pretty soon. I think there's a lot of money that hasn't been tapped going into these Bitcoin ETFs simply because it takes a long time for these financial institutions and financial advisors to really be able to be acting swiftly enough to kind of make this plays and transition into Bitcoin ETFs. I think this is a journey that a lot of them are going to go on. It's going to require board meetings, it's going to require investment committees, it's going to require papers. It's just going to take months for this to flow on. I would really actually expect the big Bitcoin ETF inflows to come in sort of Q3, Q4 this year, because that's the kind of time it takes for these actors to actually make a decision, quite frankly. In any case, we're going to just sort of watch how this plays out and see. Clearly, there might be some other excitement happening, like the halving next month, which could also be a factor in terms of driving up demand initially. But I'll leave it there. We can talk about more of this later. But otherwise, until next time, catch you later.
So that's Thomas, and he's got an application out there called Hey Apollo. So if you guys have not seen that before and you guys are interested in learning more about it, definitely swing over there and follow him over on X. I shared his screen name, but he'll be on the show as well tomorrow night or tomorrow morning, I believe. So that's going to be a really good show. And the last thing I want to talk about, well, I want to talk about two things. We're going to end it on this. We got about 7 minutes left. So breaking news. So this is Argentina President Milei, if I'm saying that right, Milei, Jarvi Milei, to stack 7,000 government employees, so 70,000. Now, last week there was an article that was put out by, who was it? By, gosh, who was that name? National File put out an article saying that he had just spent $700 million or $500 million, but that was in Argentina peso value. So it was only like 70 or 80,000 or 100,000. Yeah, I think it was 100,000. Mr. K said yesterday. But, that was for, transgender mutilation surgeries on children. But, how do we know, how do we know that that wasn't to try to help the damage, to fix the damage for the children that have already been basically, destroyed by this? That guy seemed like he was really like a Trump, absolute freedom maximalist, complete libertarian. I know they're freaking crazy sometimes, especially a lot of the liberals nowadays, but seemed like he was doing the right thing. So now we're talking about him sacking 70,000. Think about how much the government was spending, paying 70,000 people. Especially when your currency is hyperinflating and they need to get a raise every day. But if we just pull out this calculator and we just do, let's just say 50,000. Let's just say Argentina, maybe it's 35,000 is the average salary for an employee living in Argentina. Times 70 million or 70,000, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's $2.4 billion a year. If the average government salary was only 35,000. Now, if that's hyperinflating at a rate of 276%, you're a government employee, you're going to get a 276% raise every year. Government employees always do. They might even get more than that. So you're talking about You know, at the start of the year, you're making 35,000, and the next thing you know, before the end of the year, you're making 110,000 because the currency's just getting debased, or 105,000 getting debased at an insanely crazy rate. So either way, it's $2.4 billion that potentially will save Argentina. And that's $2.4 billion that he can do what? Buy Bitcoin, right? Imagine if he just took the money that he was going to spend paying those salaries all year and bought Bitcoin with it. That's what's going to happen in the USA. It's like it's the greater fool theory, or the just simple game theory, where like I explain it all the time, where if your business is using Bitcoin or your business is using Amazon and your partner's not, eventually you're going to get to a point where one company is so much better than the other because of the massive amount of capital that they have to allocate and resources that they have because they were saving in Bitcoin. Eventually, it'll just price out its competition. It'll eat through its competition. That's what we're seeing Bitcoin doing. The last thing I will throw out there is Walker says optimism versus fiat nihilism. Done. Materialism, aesthetics, reproductivism, and castrated socialism and hope. I don't know. I can't read those words. A small sneak peek of my Bitcoin talk with D. Zamba Halahada. I don't know. I can't say any of those names.
There's a Bitcoin optimism and there's a fiat nihilism that I think you see. And that's sort of how I've started to look at, and not that all of us, again, are not guilty of occasionally perhaps seeming a little nihilistic in the way that we discuss the ills of the fiat world. But ultimately, the Bitcoiners that I meet, yourself very much included, and all those that I've had the pleasure of meeting, are so incredibly optimistic about the future.
Sounds like a self-help book.
And you don't see that same sort of just almost ruthless optimism hardly anywhere else. It's always, we talk about the problems, but we do it in the context of this is why this solution can actually, Bitcoin fixes this. Instead of just, here's the problem and we're going to blame the other out group within our society. I don't know. How do you think about that? Just like, and has that been your experience too, with just, it's optimism to a fault with Bitcoiners, it seems?
I agree wholeheartedly. I think there's really interesting angles on kind of both of those. Like what is it about kind of fiat or just modern society that is so nihilistic, and how does that show up? And also, like, what is the optimism that you're pointing at in Bitcoiners? I think both of those are fascinating. The modernity one, call it fiat, call it modernity, whatever it is. I think it's, and the only reason I kind of like needle on the fiat word is because it almost implies that fiat was the cause of whatever that thing is. And I think that can be true, that cannot be true, or that can be partially true. But I think particularly when we're talking about this sort of like modern nihilism, it is interwoven, I think, in a lot of things. I think there's many, many components there, but it's deep and it's true. And like that observation is right on the money. Like that is true about how this world out there, there is a deep, deep current of like nihilism and like atheistic reductionism. And I don't mean that to say like, whether the Christian God is, real or not real, but I mean this almost like metaphysical atheism where it's just materialism. Like the only thing which can possibly exist is just these discrete forms, this gross matter, and any sort of argument to the contrary is like airy-fairy, nonsense, that there's no substance there. And I take issue with that so heavily because it is utterly unprovable. Like it is utterly, wholeheartedly, substantially, you cannot prove that. It's this widespread assumption that is passed off as fact, that we know that the only thing that exists is matter, is this discrete stuff, and you die, you're dead, it's all nonsense. And so this kind of like ideological current, right? Like it runs through the world, And it just dismantles everything. It dismantles the values. It dismantles anything which transcends, anything which has higher purpose, anything with that organizes, that inspires, and it reduces it all down to like meaningless atoms, particles, brain signals, neurochemicals. You don't actually love your partner. You're just having oxytocin go on in your brain. Like you don't actually you don't even see your child. That's just a hallucination of, brain currents, and it's all fake and it's all constructed, right? And you piece apart this ideology, and it's more nihilistic than I think anyone can even, you can't even comprehend the depths and the just the tragedy of this profound, this all-encompassing nihilism. It is the reduction of everything. It's miserable. It's utterly miserable. And it's actually funny. I think this almost was manifest in a recent kind of Twitter. I don't know if you saw this. It wasn't really in Bitcoin world, but people were debating about Dune 2, the second Dune movie. And, part of the Dune story, the author, Frank Herbert, he talked about this. It's true to the book in many ways. You have this kind of messianic figure in Paul Atreides. But the book is kind of about the dangers of messianic figures. You're not really supposed to it's supposed to be a warning about him. But everyone walks out of that movie like that was the sickest shit I've ever seen, cosmic jihad. And Herbert had to deal with this, that everyone liked the character that was supposed to be a cautionary tale. And, it speaks to, I think, this theme where people want this flattened, reduced, castrated secularism. And yet, as humans, we're just there's just this deep hunger for, why do people like Paul in Dune 2? Well, it's destiny. It's a mission. It's a purpose. He's chosen. There's suddenly this inspirational thing, and rather than disparage that and try to filter it through this deep nihilism, what if we paid more attention to that? What if we looked at why is it that people have this deep hunger for something to believe in? And I kind of went off on a tangent with this, but that brings us back to Bitcoin in some ways and the optimism of Bitcoiners, right? Because I think what Bitcoin is for many people is Michael Saylor says this, it's hope, right? It speaks to that. You want to believe in something. You want to be on the side of something. You want to be this thing is good and I'm going to fight for it.
That's it, folks. I know we're going over that hour mark, so I wanted to cut it there, but make sure you swing over there and follow these gentlemen. It's, you guys have watched me come from crypto, get into politics, really go down that rabbit hole, because I thought, if we could just wake enough people up, there would be hope to save our country. And all we had to do was just expose the crimes, right? All we had to do is expose the invasion. If enough people seen what was happening to our country, they would be so outraged that they would be doing what I was doing, getting involved, traveling, spending my own money, losing thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to go down to this border, right? And then I got lucky enough to have people like you guys donating to our border trips and to fund our border trips. And that really helped out. And that got us down there probably 3 or 4 more times that we wouldn't have been able to get down there thanks to you guys. So, if you can't get involved, join people. But the same mindset was okay, there's hope, right? And then after going to all these crypto conventions, or not all these political conventions, going to CPAC last year was a big eye opener, right? I was okay, awesome. All the politicians are in one spot. Everybody's gonna be walking around, walking up to the politicians oh, what'd you say about this? When are you gonna do this? When are you gonna do that? And they weren't. It was oh, we're gonna shake this politician's hand who literally is gonna go stab you in the back tomorrow. And it was okay, wait, what? Nobody was calling out the politicians. Nobody was saying, I was watching every single political commentator interview all these politicians and throw the same softball questions. Oh, MTG, McCarthy, dude, you promised to release the J6 tapes. You didn't. You promised single subject spending bills. Not even close. They're now funding transgender mutilation with your tax dollars. And these people have no desire, hope, or anything to even come together and fight to save our country. And Speaker Mike Johnson is such a coward, right? So these people are going to print your family's life savings into oblivion. And where I'm going with that is it gets so damn depressing when no matter what crime you expose, nobody gets arrested. No matter what law these people break, nobody's charged with a crime. No matter how much they destroy our country, not enough people are willing to stand up and stand in that gap and risk their freedom, right? They want safe slavery over risky freedom or dangerous freedom, which blows my mind every single time I even say it. For the first time, like going back from politics and getting back into crypto, it was like, wow, exactly what he said. We have hope for the first time. And for the first time, we have the ability to change the course of history for our children. The Trojan horse is in the castle. You can get in it. Like, you didn't have to ride the Trojan horse into the castle, right? Like, imagine when the Trojan horse, right? And the soldiers got inside, right? And then they were in. And everybody else came through the gates. Even the very last person through that gates got to enjoy in all of the riches, you know, that the original men risked their life and risked it all to get you through that gate. Well, the horse is in. Like, just come and join us, folks. Because eventually, you know, if only the people that rode the horse into the castle, that's all that there is there, well, we're probably eventually going to get taken out one by one. But every time you join us, every time that you get involved, that's what Bitcoin becomes. It becomes the union for the middle class. And I'm trying so hard to help educate everybody about like how much better your life gets. When all you're doing is stacking Bitcoin, your entire world changes. For the first time in history, you have an asset that no government can take from you, no government can hyperinflate away. And the more reckless your government becomes, like people are like, dude, if they keep printing money, like how are we ever going to survive? Like I can barely afford to pay for my groceries right now, and they just spent another $1.2 trillion. Like I'm priced out of buying a house forever. And you don't make enough to put money into a house because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars now. So you don't have the ability to go get a loan out. So where can you park your wealth? And what type of investment vehicle can you find that you can put in as little as $20? And it has as much upside potential as real estate, if not 10 times more. Bitcoin becomes the only thing. So it becomes your hope. It becomes your motivation. It becomes your inspiration. And the more that you study it, the more you learn it, the more you see that this is the most peaceful revolution, and Bitcoin's leading that charge. So God bless each and every one of you guys. Do me a huge favor, smash that like button. If you guys are not in the USA and you guys want to support our sponsors, we are sponsored over here by Bybit. You guys can get, I think it's like $10 or $20. I think you get up to $33,000 last I saw, if you deposit like $100,000 or some insane amount of crypto. But it's based off the amount of that you buy your first time. So if you sign up for an exchange and you buy $2,000, you're going to get maybe even $100 worth of free Bitcoin. But they hook it up pretty well over here. They're my favorite exchange. Not your keys, not your crypto. Get your crypto off there. Highly don't expect it suggests trading. I do have digital courses on how to trade, but again, it's more like how to get wrecked, because you have a strict set of rules. And if you're not good at trading, you're going to get eaten alive by people like Craig, who came on the show last night and showed us how advanced these people are when it comes to trading crypto.
Today's sponsor is Bybit. Bybit is your one-stop shop for crypto trading, crypto investing, buying, learning. I've also built a step-by-step digital course which teaches you everything you need to know about buying crypto on Bybit, and not just buying crypto on Bybit, but trading strategies, setting up crypto trading bots. Bitcoin is the best way to fight against tyranny, to fight against government corruption, to fight back against the Federal Reserve printing trillions of dollars and depreciating everything that your family has worked for your entire life. So get yourself some Bitcoin. You should at least allocate a small percentage of it to your portfolio. Be a smart investor. Don't let the government take everything from you. Again, my name is Ryan Matta. Links to my affiliate codes are down in the description. Show this channel some love and go buy yourself some Bitcoin.
And you can also swing over to mypillow.com if you're not into crypto, but you like taking care of your grandma or your old lady, and get her a robe, a nice little pair of slippers over there at mypillow.com/Matta, or just use promo code Matta. We'll get you 50% off everything store-wide. There's no better way to support us over here on the Ryan Matta Show than directly with our sponsors. So Shredded Gaming says, from Australia, 2 a.m. Man, got to get some sleep. Love you, bro. Be safe out there, guys. Trade safe. Can't wait to see you guys in tomorrow's show. Looking forward to it. Same place, same time. We'll actually be there over on LFATV today at 2 p.m. Come get down on the politics with us, and look forward to seeing you guys over there. We'll also be live over here tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless you guys.
Run.